I never thought that the end would come like that. For most of my life, I tried not to think too much about death. It was always something far away, something that happened to other people. I was too busy, busy working, busy worrying about bills, busy stressing over things that, now, I realized didn't matter at all. But death came anyway, quietly, unexpectedly. I remember the day so vividly, it feels like it just happened. I had been feeling sick for weeks, but I kept pushing through. That's what we're taught, right? Keep going. Don't complain. Be strong. I thought it was just stress or a passing illness. But deep down, something inside me whispered that it was more. The day started like any other. I woke up, went about my routine, pretending everything was fine. But by the afternoon, the pain in my chest was unbearable. It felt like my body was shutting down, like something sacred inside me was slipping away. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, holding my chest, struggling to breathe. The world around me started to blur. I called for help, but even as I spoke, I knew I was leaving. There was a strange calm mixed with terror. My mind raced. Was this really it? Was this how it ends? And then it happened. The breath, the last one. I felt my lungs give out, and with it, everything went still. My heart stopped. But the most shocking part was, I was still there. I was aware. I was present. I didn't feel the weight of my body anymore. The pain vanished instantly. I could see myself, lying there, lifeless. But I wasn't inside that body anymore. I was above it, looking down with the most peculiar mixture of detachment and disbelief. How can this be? I thought. I'm dead, but I'm still me. There was no fear in that moment, only confusion. My mind felt sharp, clearer than it ever had. I could hear the distant sounds of people trying to help me, calling my name, but their voices seemed muffled, like I was underwater. And then something shifted. A darkness surrounded me. Not an evil darkness, just emptiness. A vast, endless void. I wasn't walking or floating. I was simply there, suspended in what felt like timelessness. There was no more pain, no more breath, just silence. I can't explain the stillness of that place. It wasn't frightening, but it was overwhelming. I felt small, insignificant. Every worry I'd ever had, about money, relationships, regrets, it all dissolved in that endless black. For a moment, I wondered, is this all there is? Is this what death means? A silent nothingness? But then, something happened that would change everything forever. In the distance, far beyond what I can put into words, I saw the faintest glimmer, a soft light. It was so subtle at first, I thought I imagined it. But the more I focused, the more real it became. It was calling to me, not with words, but with something deeper, something that touched the very core of who I was. It wasn't cold, it wasn't dark, it was warmth, a warmth that began to grow, pulling me gently forward. And in that moment, a deep, instinctive knowing filled me. I was not alone. I cannot express the relief of that realization. All my life, I had feared death. I had feared the unknown, the nothingness. But in that place, as the light approached, I felt something else entirely. I felt loved. Not the kind of love we often talk about on earth. This was pure, total, unconditional. It was as though the very fabric of the universe was embracing me, telling me without words, "You are safe. You are home." I don't know how long I stayed in that space. There was no time as we know it. But I knew, deep in my soul, that something extraordinary was about to happen. Something that would unravel everything I thought I knew about life, death, and what lies beyond. And so I surrendered. I let go, and I moved toward the light. As I drifted toward the light, something unexpected happened. I didn't arrive immediately in some glorious, radiant place, the way I always imagined heaven would be. Instead, I found myself in a vast, endless darkness. It wasn't frightening the way you might think. It wasn't the terrifying black void I feared in life. It was still, calm, almost peaceful. But it was empty. I could feel that I existed. I was aware. I could think, but I had no body. I couldn't see my hands. I couldn't hear my own breathing because there was none. Yet somehow, I was still me. My memories were intact. My emotions were vivid, but I was different. I remember wondering, where am I? At first, a wave of fear rose in me. Had I done something wrong? Was I lost? Was this some kind of punishment? But almost immediately, another feeling washed over me, one of deep calm, as if something unseen was reassuring me. Be still. You are not alone. The darkness wasn't cold or cruel. It felt more like a place of transition, a threshold between two worlds. The best way I can describe it is like the moment just before dawn, when the night is at its deepest, but you know that somewhere, light is coming. And in that darkness, I began to remember things, not just from my earthly life, but from somewhere deeper. Memories that didn't feel like they belonged to my time on earth. I can't fully explain it, but it was as if my soul knew this place, as if I had been here before, long ago, and forgotten. I wasn't scared anymore. I thought of the people I loved, my family, my friends. I thought of the things I never got to say. I thought of my regrets, my mistakes, the words I should have spoken, the moments I wasted. And in the midst of those thoughts, something incredible happened. I felt no judgment. There was no voice condemning me, no anger, no shame. Instead, I felt wrapped in a gentle, silent understanding, as if whatever presence was with me saw everything I had ever done, every flaw, every failure, and still loved me completely, unconditionally. I realized then that the darkness wasn't there to punish me. It was there to help me let go, to help me release the weight I had carried for so long, the guilt, the pain, the fear. It was like the stillness was giving me space to breathe. Even though I had no breath, I began to notice something else, too. The darkness wasn't completely empty. I felt movement, energy, gentle currents of something unseen, brushing past me, like soft whispers. It was as though countless other souls were passing through the same space, each on their own journey. I couldn't see them, but I could feel them. And then I heard it, a sound, faint at first, but growing. It wasn't a voice the way we hear voices on earth, but it was a communication, direct, clear, and impossibly loving. You are safe. Keep going. You are returning home. The words didn't enter my ears. They entered my heart. They bypassed thought and language and touched something ancient within me. And in that moment, all fear vanished. I understood then. This darkness was not forever. It was the beginning, the cocoon before the awakening, the waiting room before the doors opened. And suddenly, I wasn't drifting anymore. I was being drawn, gently, but with purpose. I felt myself moving, not with legs, not with wings, but with something deeper, with intention, with spirit. And as I moved, the darkness began to shift. Tiny specks of light, like distant stars, began to appear all around me. Faint at first, then brighter, and brighter still, as if the entire universe was coming to life. I felt awe like I had never felt before, and love, overwhelming, all-encompassing love that I can barely begin to describe. I knew, without a doubt, that I was traveling toward something greater, something beautiful beyond comprehension. And somewhere deep inside me, I heard it again. You are not your body. You are not your past. You are eternal, and you are loved more than you can imagine. I wanted to cry, but there were no tears in this place. Only expansion. Only peace, only the first steps of a journey I never knew was waiting for me. And so I surrendered once more. I allowed whatever force was calling me to carry me forward, toward the light, toward the truth, toward the revelation that would change everything I thought I knew. If this content touches you in any way, please like, subscribe, and comment to help with engagement and help this video reach more people. Now, let's continue the story. As I moved through the darkness, drawn by that gentle, irresistible pull, the tiny points of light around me began to grow. At first, it was as if I was traveling through a tunnel of stars, each one pulsing softly, radiating warmth and peace. The further I went, the brighter everything became. The darkness started to fade, not abruptly, but gradually, like the slow breaking of dawn after the longest night. And then I saw it, the light. I hesitate to even call it light, because the word doesn't begin to capture what it truly was. It wasn't just something I saw, it was something I felt, something I became part of. It radiated not just brightness, but life. It held intelligence, love, awareness. I stopped moving, or perhaps I was made to stop, and I hovered there, at the threshold of something so vast, so magnificent, that every part of me trembled, not from fear, but from sheer awe. The light pulsed gently, alive in a way that defied explanation. Colors I had never seen before danced within it, hues that do not exist in our physical world. It wasn't just white, it was golden, silver, violet, soft blues, and colors beyond the spectrum of human eyes. Each color seemed to carry its own emotion, its own song. And then came the feeling. A wave of warmth enveloped me. Total, complete, unconditional love. Love that didn't ask who I was, what I had done, or if I deserved it. Love that simply was. It was as if every cell of my being, every particle of what I truly was being embraced, seen, and cherished. I knew in that moment I was not separate from this light. I had come from it, and I was being called back to it. I wanted to move closer. Every fiber of my soul longed to be fully inside that light. But something held me, gently, like a loving parent saying, "Wait, there's more you need to see first." It was then that I became aware of other presences. I wasn't alone. Shapes began to emerge, figures within the light, radiating the same love and warmth. I couldn't see their faces the way we see faces on earth, but I recognized them. I knew them. Somehow, without words, I felt their identities. They were family, friends, people I had known, loved, and lost during my life. Some were those I hadn't thought about in years. Others were people I never had the chance to truly know, relatives who had passed before I was born. And yet, there was a deep, unbreakable connection, a soul recognition. They were waiting for me, smiling, not with mouths, but with the very essence of who they were. I could feel their joy at seeing me. There was no sadness, no regret, only reunion. I wanted to run to them. If I had legs, I would have. But instead, I moved effortlessly, as if gliding, drawn closer by a force greater than myself. One figure, brighter than the others, stepped forward, or rather, flowed forward. The love radiating from this being was indescribable. It was as if the very core of compassion, kindness, and peace had taken form. Without words, this being spoke directly to my heart. "You are safe. You are home. You have always been loved." Tears, if such a thing existed in that place, would have filled my eyes. Every fear I had ever carried, every wound, every ounce of loneliness, dissolved in that moment. I felt whole, complete, in a way I never knew was possible. The light grew brighter, not in a way that hurt or blinded, but in a way that filled every space inside me. It wasn't just outside me, it was within me. I felt free, and yet, even as I stood on the edge of that radiant realm, something stirred inside me. A question, a longing for understanding. I realized there was more to be revealed. This wasn't the end of the journey. It was just the beginning. I was about to be shown something I had never imagined. Something that would not only change me, but would forever change how I saw life, death, and everything in between. The being in the light seemed to smile. Again, not with a face, but with presence. "Are you ready?" it asked, and in the deepest place within me, I answered without hesitation, yes. The moment I said yes, everything around me seemed to shift, like a veil being lifted, or a door slowly opening. The light expanded, embracing me even more fully, and with it came the most extraordinary sensation, the unmistakable presence of those I had loved and lost. I don't know how to explain it in earthly words. It wasn't like seeing photographs of people or even remembering their faces. It was deeper. I knew them, not just their appearance, but their very souls. And they knew me. I felt their joy, their love, their excitement at my arrival. It was overwhelming. The kind of homecoming I had never known before. The first soul I recognized was my grandfather. He had passed when I was still young, but somehow I felt his essence before I even saw him. His presence radiated warmth, playfulness, and deep love. I could feel his energy, the way he used to smile, the way he made me feel safe when I was a child. It all came rushing back, as if no time had passed at all. And then there was my mother. I can't begin to describe what it felt like to sense her again. She had died years earlier, and the grief of losing her had left a wound I thought would never fully heal. But there she was, not in the broken body I remembered from her last days on earth, but radiant, whole, shining with a light that seemed to come from within her very being. Her presence enveloped me like the softest embrace. I didn't see her lips move, but I heard her. Deep inside my heart, I heard the words I had longed to hear for so long. I'm here. I never left you. I broke down, not physically, because there were no tears or bodies, but my soul wept in relief. All the pain of her loss, the years of missing her, the silent prayers I had whispered into the night, they all melted away in that single moment of reunion. More souls gathered around me. Some I recognized, some I didn't consciously remember, but all of them felt familiar. It was as if a long-forgotten memory was being restored. Friends from childhood, distant relatives, even people I had only known briefly but who had somehow touched my life in ways I hadn't realized. They were all there, and they were so happy to see me. The air, if I can call it that, was filled with a kind of music, not the music of instruments, but the music of love itself. It was like every being was singing silently, radiating joy, welcoming me back to a place that had always been my true home. I remember thinking, why was I ever afraid of death? Why did I spend my life fearing this moment when it is the most beautiful thing I have ever known? And yet, beneath the joy, I felt something else stirring, something gentle but insistent. A question, not from me, but from them. They weren't just there to welcome me. They were waiting for something more. I sensed that there was a purpose behind this reunion, that I was about to receive not just comfort, but understanding, answers to questions that had haunted me in life. Why are we here? What happens after we die? Does anything we do really matter? One of the beings, my mother, I believe, stepped closer. Again, there were no words spoken aloud, but her thoughts became mine. We are here because love never dies. You have always been connected to us, even when you couldn't see it. And now, you are ready to remember. The light around us shifted again. The atmosphere seemed to shimmer, and I felt myself moving, not away from them, but deeper into something greater. I realized then, this wasn't the end of my journey. This was only the beginning. The reunion was real. The love was real. But there was more I needed to see. More I needed to understand. Something about life itself. Something humanity had forgotten or misunderstood. I felt no fear, only a profound sense of being held, guided, and loved beyond anything I had ever imagined. And so, I let go once more. I moved forward, accompanied by the presence of those who loved me, toward the revelation that would change everything. As I drifted deeper into the light, accompanied by the gentle presence of those who had loved me in life, something shifted. subtly at first, then profoundly. The brilliant glow around me seemed to part, revealing not a place in the way we understand places on earth, but a space of pure consciousness. It felt as though I was being invited into the very heart of existence itself, and then I felt it, the presence. It's impossible to describe this presence in human terms. It wasn't male or female, young or old. It wasn't even a person in the way we think of people. It was more like the source of everything, the origin, the heartbeat of the universe, the very fabric of love itself. And somehow, in that moment, I knew this presence had always known me. Every thought, every tear, every moment of my life, I felt no judgment, no anger, only a deep, all-encompassing understanding and compassion beyond anything words could express. Without speaking, the presence showed me something. Images, memories, feelings, all flowing into me at once, not through words, but through direct knowing. It was as if I was downloading the truth of my existence into the very core of who I was. And this is what I was shown. We have had it all wrong. All my life, I believed I was a body, a fragile, temporary being trying to make sense of a confusing world. I believed in separation, me versus others, life versus death, success versus failure. But here, in this place of infinite love, I was shown the deeper reality. We are not separate. We never were. I saw that I was not just a man living one life on earth. I was, and always had been, a soul, an eternal being of light, temporarily inhabiting a human experience for the sake of growth, love, and learning. I saw that every person I had ever met, every soul I had ever touched, whether through kindness or harm, was part of the same vast, interconnected tapestry. Nothing was random. Every moment mattered. Every action, every word, every thought rippled through creation in ways I could never have imagined. I understood, in an instant, that the pain, the suffering, the fear I had experienced in life were not punishments or meaningless accidents. They were lessons. Each challenge had been a teacher. Each heartbreak had opened me to deeper compassion. Each loss had stretched my soul in ways that only love could fill. And most of all, I saw that the greatest truth, the one we have forgotten, is this: we are made of love. At our core, beyond our physical bodies, beyond our egos, beyond the identities we cling to, we are beings of pure, radiant love, eternal, unbreakable, unconditionally worthy. I wept inside, if such a thing is possible, because in that moment, I realized how much time I had wasted in life being afraid of failure, afraid of rejection, afraid of death, and none of it mattered. The only thing that mattered, the only thing that was real, was love. The love we give, the love we receive, the love we are. I was shown flashes of my life, moments I had long forgotten, a kind word to a stranger, a smile to someone in pain, a time I forgave when I could have hated. Each of these tiny acts of love glowed like golden threads, forming a beautiful pattern I had never seen before. And then I was shown the opposite, moments when I had hurt others, knowingly or unknowingly. I felt those moments too, not with punishment, but with deep, compassionate clarity. I understood how every choice to act without love created ripples of pain, not just for others, but for my own soul. It wasn't about judgment. It was about learning, about remembering who I truly was. The presence spoke again, not in words, but in pure thought, reaching the deepest part of me. Love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. Remember this. And with those words, something awakened in me, a part of my soul that had been asleep for lifetimes. I realized that all of us, all souls, come from this place. We choose to be born, to live, to struggle, not because we are punished or forgotten, but because we are loved beyond measure. We are here to grow in love, to give it, to receive it, and to return home with hearts expanded. I felt awe, gratitude, and an indescribable longing to carry this truth back to the world I had left behind. I didn't know yet what would happen next, but I knew this: I could never see life or death the same way again. I thought I had already seen the greatest revelation, the truth that we are all made of love, that nothing is wasted, and that life is far more than what we perceive. But I wasn't prepared for what came next. The presence, the source of all love, did not force me to do anything. There was no condemnation, no finger-pointing, no list of my sins, and yet, somehow, I knew that something within me needed to be faced. Without words, the invitation came. Look, and I did. In an instant, my entire life unfolded before me, not as a movie I simply watched, but as an experience I felt. Every choice I had made, every word I had spoken, every action, large or small, it all returned to me in perfect, crystal-clear detail. But what took my breath away, if breath had existed in that place, was that I didn't just see my actions from my own perspective. I saw them through the eyes of everyone I had ever touched. When I offered kindness, I felt the warmth it gave to others. I felt their relief, their hope, their quiet gratitude, even when they never spoke it aloud. Moments I thought were insignificant, smiling at a stranger, listening to a friend in pain, were shown to me as shimmering threads of light. Moments when love had passed from me to another soul. And then there were the other moments. Moments I wanted desperately to look away from. Times I had been cruel. Times I had spoken in anger. Times I had ignored someone's suffering because I was too busy, too tired, or simply too self-absorbed. Moments when I had caused pain, whether intentional or not. And here's the thing: I wasn't punished. No one accused me, but I felt it. I felt the sting of every careless word. I felt the sadness, the disappointment, the loneliness I had caused in others, no matter how small the incident seemed at the time. The judgment wasn't coming from an outside source. It was coming from within me. It was my own soul, remembering who I truly was, who I was meant to be, and seeing, with unbearable clarity, every time I had fallen short of that divine essence. The pain was real, not physical, but soul-deep, a sorrow so profound that I wanted to cry out, to undo, to make it right. And yet, intertwined with that sorrow was something even more powerful: compassion. I was shown, again and again, that I had done the best I could with what I knew at the time. I saw how my own wounds, my own fears, my own traumas had shaped many of my poor choices. And the presence, this infinite source of love, wrapped me in an understanding so vast, so complete, that even as I wept within, I felt held. I wasn't being condemned. I was being healed. I began to understand. This was not judgment in the human sense. This was the soul's remembering. This was truth, not to punish, but to awaken. I saw that every act of love, no matter how small, rippled through eternity. And every act of harm, every time I failed to love, was not about sin or punishment, but about missed opportunities to embody who I truly was. The message was clear. Love is always the right choice. Always. I felt a deep resolve begin to rise in me, a longing not just to be forgiven, but to be better, to return to life, or to whatever awaited me, carrying this knowledge at the very core of my being. I understood, perhaps for the first time, that life on earth is a sacred gift. Every moment is a chance to grow, to heal, to love. Not just the big moments, marriages, careers, milestones, but the smallest choices: how we speak, how we listen, how we forgive. And then I was shown something even more humbling. I saw the impact of my love, the times I had lifted others without realizing it. I saw how a single act of kindness could change the course of someone's entire life, how unseen, unnoticed moments of grace shaped destinies. I wept for the beauty of it. I wept for the weight of it. And most of all, I wept because I knew, beyond any doubt, that none of us are ever alone in this journey. Every soul is guided. Every life matters. Every choice echoes. And with that, the presence whispered to me, gently, lovingly, "Now you see, now you remember." I didn't know where I was going next, but I knew I was forever changed. As the life review faded and the shimmering light continued to surround me, I felt myself gently lifted higher, though there were no directions, no physical movement as we understand it on Earth. I was being taken deeper, further, closer to the core of something beyond words. And then I saw it, not with eyes, but with a kind of vision that came from within the soul itself. I saw what lies beyond this world, the reality that most of us have forgotten, or perhaps never truly known. It was as if a curtain had been pulled back, revealing the vast, magnificent truth of existence. There were no streets of gold, no pearly gates, no cities like those on Earth. Instead, there was connection. Everything was connected in ways I could barely comprehend. It was as if the entire universe was a living, breathing organism, pulsing with light, with love, with intelligence beyond anything I had ever imagined. I saw that every soul, every single being that has ever lived, is part of this living tapestry. We are not separate. We are not alone. We are threads in a masterpiece so intricate, so beautiful, that just the sight of it made me tremble with awe. I could see, in some way, the journeys of other souls. I saw how we each choose to come into physical existence, not by force, but by desire. A desire to grow, to learn, to experience love in all its forms, even the painful ones. I saw that Earth is a kind of school, a place where souls come to learn through contrast, light and dark, joy and sorrow, unity and separation. But none of it is meaningless. Every life matters. Every soul is precious. And then I was shown something even more astonishing. I saw that time, as we know it, is an illusion. Everything, past, present, future, exists simultaneously in this higher reality. There is no before, no after, only now. And in this eternal now, all souls are known, all choices are seen, all paths are woven into the great design. I felt myself expand, my consciousness stretching beyond what I ever thought possible. I could feel the presence of millions, billions of souls, not as strangers, but as family. Souls of all ages, all histories, all walks of life, each one glowing, each one part of the same whole. And then I saw something that broke me wide open. I saw the suffering on Earth. I saw the wars, the hatred, the cruelty, the loneliness. But I also saw something else, something I had never understood until that moment. Beneath every act of violence, beneath every broken heart, every tear, every scream of despair, there was a hidden thread, a golden line of love that refused to die. Even in the darkest moments, the light was there, however faint. Love was always trying to break through. No one is ever truly lost. No one. Even those who seem consumed by darkness are held in love on a level that defies understanding. Some souls wander, some fall into confusion, some lose their way, but none are ever abandoned. There is always a way back, always. I wept with the sheer enormity of it. We have made God so small in our human minds. We've made love conditional, forgiveness rare, and worth something to be earned. But here, in this reality beyond realities, I saw the truth. We are all cherished, every single one of us. Not because we are perfect, but because we exist. I felt the presence again, closer now, stronger, filling me with knowing beyond words. There is no punishment here. There is only learning. There is only love. I thought about the way we live on Earth, how easily we hurt each other, how often we forget that we're all walking each other home. And I felt, for the first time, the depth of compassion, not just for myself, but for every person who has ever lived, even those we call evil, even those we cannot understand. They are souls too, learning, struggling, trying, sometimes failing, but still part of the same light that birthed us all. I wanted to stay there forever, but I knew there was more. A choice was coming, a moment that would change everything once more. And as the vision of the vast interconnected universe began to fade, the presence spoke one last time before leading me forward. Remember, you are never separate from this. Even on earth, even in darkness, the light is always within you. And with that, I was carried gently to the place where the choice would be made. I don't know how long I remained in that state, wrapped in the warmth of the presence, surrounded by the truth of who we really are. In that place beyond time, it could have been seconds, or it could have been lifetimes. But then, something shifted. I felt it before I saw it. A gentle pulling, a stirring deep within my soul, as if the fabric of my being was being asked a question that echoed through me not in words, but in essence. Do you wish to stay, or will you return? The thought caught me off guard. Return. For a moment, I felt the overwhelming desire to stay. The peace I had found in that realm was unlike anything I had ever known. There was no pain, no fear, no loss, only belonging, love, and light. For the first time in my entire existence, I felt whole. Why would I ever want to leave? I felt the presence around me, infinitely patient, offering no pressure, no demand, only love, and the gift of free will. The choice, I realized, was truly mine. And then I saw them. I don't know how, but suddenly the faces of my loved ones still on earth appeared before me. Not just their images, but their hearts, their souls. I felt their grief, their unanswered questions, their silent prayers, the empty places I had left behind. I saw my family, my friends, the people I had laughed with, cried with, held close in my life. I felt the weight of their sorrow, the longing they carried, the way they would wonder what happened to me, the pain they would bear in my absence. And then I understood. I understood that my life, no matter how small or insignificant I had sometimes believed it to be, mattered. That my presence in their lives was not just an accident or a temporary chapter. It was part of their journey, just as they were part of mine. I felt the potential of the life I had left behind, the chances to love more deeply, to forgive more easily, to live more fully, to be the hands and voice of the love I had just witnessed. And with that realization came another wave of truth. Life on earth is not a punishment. It is a precious, sacred opportunity. A brief but powerful chance for the soul to grow in ways that cannot happen in the perfection of the other side. Here, in the physical world, where love must be chosen in the midst of fear, where kindness must be chosen in the midst of pain, that is where the soul shines brightest. I felt torn. The thought of returning to a world of struggle, to a body that might suffer, to days of uncertainty and challenge, it felt so heavy compared to the weightlessness of the light. But then, I felt the presence speak to my heart once more. Your work is not finished. You carry this light within you. You can bring it back. You can help others remember. And then, as if to show me, I was given a glimpse of what could be. Moments of kindness I had not yet given. People I had not yet helped. Healing I had not yet offered. I saw the ripple effects of even the smallest act of love. I realized to return was not a punishment. It was a mission, a gift. But still, the choice was mine. For a moment, I hesitated. The peace of that realm called to me so deeply. I longed to stay, to be one with the love forever. And then I thought of them, the ones I loved, the ones who still needed me even if they didn't know it. I thought of the tears I could wipe away, the hands I could hold, the words I could speak. I thought of second chances, of forgiveness, of hope, and with every part of my soul, I knew I would return. Not because I was forced to, but because love asked me to. And love was now the only truth, I could ever live by. The presence surrounded me one last time, and I felt these words, not in language, but in the very core of who I am. Carry this light, remember who you are, and know we are always with you. And with that, everything shifted. I felt myself pulled gently but powerfully away from that place of unimaginable beauty. I was going back to life, back to earth, but I would never be the same. The return was unlike anything I could have imagined. One moment, I was surrounded by the infinite light, cradled in the arms of something so vast, so tender, that it felt impossible to let go. The next, I felt a jolt, a sudden pull, as if the very essence of who I was being drawn back through layers of existence, back through the veil, back into the density of physical reality. And then I was back. The first sensation I remember was the weight, the sheer heaviness of the body, the pressure of gravity, the resistance of flesh and bone. Breathing, something I had taken for granted my entire life, felt foreign, almost suffocating. My heart, fragile and worn, beat weakly in my chest, but it beat nonetheless. I opened my eyes. The room came into focus slowly. The sterile smell of antiseptic, the beeping of machines, the soft voices of medical staff who, moments before, had believed I was gone. I was alive, but everything had changed. At first, the return was disorienting. My mind struggled to hold on to the memory of where I had been. It felt as though two worlds existed within me at once, the physical world of pain, time, and separation, and the eternal world of light, love, and unity. I remember lying there, tears streaming down my face, not because of fear, but because of the aching beauty of what I had seen, what I had felt. The contrast between that realm and this one was overwhelming. The noise, the discomfort, the sheer smallness of everything. But then, the message returned, softly, gently, like a whisper in my heart. Remember, you are here to love. In the days and weeks that followed, the memories did not fade as I feared they might. In fact, they grew stronger. I found myself seeing the world through new eyes. Every person I passed on the street, I could feel their soul. I could sense their hidden battles, their silent prayers, their deep longing to be seen, to be loved. The judgments I used to carry, about myself, about others, began to fall away. I no longer cared about the things that once consumed me. Status, possessions, appearances. They all seemed so fragile, so temporary. Instead, I saw beauty everywhere. In the wrinkled face of an old woman walking her dog, in the laughter of a child playing in the park, in the eyes of a stranger who smiled at me for no reason. Every heartbeat, every breath, every moment, it all felt sacred. I felt overwhelming gratitude for the simplest things, the warmth of sunlight on my skin, the taste of fresh water, the feeling of wind on my face. Things I had never truly noticed before now brought tears to my eyes. But more than anything, I felt an unshakable truth burning inside me. Love is the only thing that matters. It wasn't just a thought, it was a knowing, a deep, eternal certainty that beneath every fear, every conflict, every sorrow, love was always there, waiting, calling, healing. I wanted to tell everyone I met. I wanted to grab them by the shoulders and say, "You are loved. You have always been loved. And none of this pain is forever." But I learned to be gentle with this truth, to live it quietly, humbly, without force. I began to choose kindness in moments where I once would have chosen anger. I began to listen more deeply, to forgive more quickly, to love more freely, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt. Because I knew, in my bones, in my soul, that every act of love, no matter how small, ripples through eternity. I also felt less afraid of everything. The fear of death that had haunted me my entire life was gone. I knew, without any doubt, that death is not the end, that there is no true separation. that love cannot die. And yet, I also felt the preciousness of life more keenly than ever. I knew now that every moment on earth is an opportunity, an invitation to bring heaven into this world through the way we love, the way we live, the way we forgive. I was not perfect. I stumbled. I got frustrated. I felt pain. But beneath it all, there was now an anchor, a light that never left me. And every time I closed my eyes, every time I felt overwhelmed, I could still hear the words, "You carry the light within you. You are never alone. Love is always the way home." As time passed, I found myself returning, again and again, to the memory of that place. The place beyond this world, beyond time, beyond all the fears that used to hold me captive. It never truly left me. Sometimes I would wake in the middle of the night, the weight of my earthly body pressing heavily on my chest, and I would remember the light, the love, the absolute certainty that none of this life is meaningless. And slowly, gently, the final message I had been given began to unfold inside me, like a flower opening its petals in the morning sun. I began to see the deeper truth. We are all here to remember who we truly are, beneath the noise, beneath the pain, beneath the endless distractions of the world. We are here to rediscover the love that has always lived at the core of our souls, the love that never left us, even when we felt most lost. Every life matters, every breath, every tear. I came to understand that even our greatest struggles, the heartbreaks, the losses, the loneliness, are not signs of abandonment. They are, in their own mysterious way, invitations, opportunities to choose love even in the darkest places. I was shown that every time we offer kindness, no matter how small, it lights up the fabric of creation in ways we cannot yet see. Every time we forgive, every time we choose compassion over judgment, hope over despair, gentleness over anger, we align ourselves with the truth of who we are. We are not here to be perfect. We are here to learn, to grow, to fall and rise, to love and be loved, to be broken open by life so that we can expand into something greater. And above all, we are here to carry each other. I saw so clearly, in the time beyond time, that none of us walk this path alone. Every person we meet, every soul who crosses our path, is a reflection of ourselves, a chance to give what we have received, a chance to bring light where there is darkness. I think of those I have lost, my mother, my grandfather, the souls who greeted me on the other side, and I know now, without any trace of doubt, that they are not truly gone. They are closer than we believe, always near, always watching, always loving. The veil between worlds is thinner than we imagine. Love is the bridge. There is no death, not really, only transformation, only returning home to the place we have always belonged. And when my time does come again, when I am once more called back to that radiant light, I know I will not be afraid. I know I will be met with open arms, with the same unconditional love that met me the first time. Until then, I will live differently. I will choose kindness when it's hard. I will forgive where I once would have held on to bitterness. I will see the people around me not as strangers, but as fellow travelers, souls walking the same path, each carrying burdens we cannot always see. I will cherish the small moments, the sunrise, the laughter of a child, the simple act of holding someone's hand, because I understand now, those moments are everything. And when grief returns, as it inevitably does, when I miss those who have gone ahead of me, I will close my eyes and remember, they are not lost. Love does not die. We are all just walking each other home. And if you are listening to this, if you are sitting with your own sorrow, your own fear, your own longing for something more, please hear me when I say this. You are not alone. You have never been alone. The love that created you, the light that awaits you, has never left you, not for a single heartbeat. It lives within you, right now, quietly waiting to be remembered. We are here to love. We are here to learn. We are here to lift one another when the journey feels too heavy to carry alone. And when this life ends, when we each take our final breath, it will not be the end. It will be the return to the light, the return to the love that has always and will always call us home.